The road was dry, cracked, and unforgiving. The kind of village road that remembered every footstep ever taken on it. Dust rose gently with each passing tire, dancing in the afternoon heat. A black luxury SUV moved slowly through the village, its glossy body looking completely out of place, like a stranger who did not belong. Inside the car, the air was cold, too cold. Jeremy adjusted his grip on the steering wheel, his expensive watch shining under the soft glow of the dashboard. Beside him sat Naomi, elegant and calm, unaware that the next few seconds would change everything. She thought she knew about the man she loved. Then a voice broke the silence. "Jeremy, my son." The words were weak, cracked, and heavy with years of suffering. Jeremy's foot hesitated on the pedal. Outside the car stood an old woman, bent under the weight of firewood balanced on her head. Her feet were bare, her dress faded and torn, her skin darkened by years of sun and hardship. Sweat ran down her face, mixing with dust, but her eyes were alive, alive with hope. Hope is dangerous when it has waited too long. Naomi leaned forward, looking through the open window. "My love," she said softly, "let's help her. She's carrying too much." Jeremy did not answer. The old woman took a painful step closer. The firewood shook. Her arms trembled, but her voice grew stronger. "Jeremy, it's me, your mother." Time slowed. For one brief moment, Jeremy's eyes filled with something he had buried long ago. Memories tried to crawl back. Barefoot walks to school. Empty nights, the smell of smoke and firewood. A woman who carried the world on her head so her son could dream. But dreams can make men cruel. Jeremy's jaw tightened. His heart hardened. "No," he said sharply, pressing the window button. "We can't help her." Naomi turned toward him, shocked. "Jeremy, why? She's an old woman." He didn't look at Naomi. His eyes stayed fixed on the woman outside, now standing dangerously close to the car. "Village people are dangerous," he said coldly. "Some of them use evil ways." The window began to rise. The old woman raised her shaking hand. "My son, please." Glass separated them. The SUV moved forward. Dust swallowed the road. The car disappeared. And on that lonely village road, an old African mother stood frozen, firewood still on her head. Her hand still lifted, watching the child. She gave her life to drive away, as if she were nothing. That was not just a moment of denial. It was the beginning of a reckoning. The road grew quiet after the SUV disappeared, as if the village itself had stopped breathing. Dust slowly settled back onto the earth. But Madame Hannah remained standing in the middle of the road. The firewood on her head felt heavier now, not because of its weight, but because of what had just happened. Her knees trembled. She lowered her raised hand and let it fall to her side. No scream escaped her lips. No curse followed. Only silence, deep and painful. Tears slipped down her cheeks, cutting thin lines through the dust on her face. Villagers passed by, some on foot, some on bicycles. They glanced at her briefly, then looked away. In this village, suffering was common, and people had learned to survive by ignoring another's pain. But this pain was different. This was the pain of a mother. Madame Hannah finally turned and began to walk. Each step was slow. The firewood pressed into her head, yet she did not remove it. Carrying firewood was her life. She had done it long before Jeremy was born, and even more after his father died. Jeremy's father had been a quiet farmer with rough hands and a gentle smile. When sickness took him, the house lost more than a man. It lost stability. Hunger entered, fear followed, and Madame Hannah became everything. She became both mother and father. She woke before sunrise to fetch water, worked the farm until her back burned, and cut firewood from the bush. She balanced it on her head and walked miles to the market. With that money, she bought salt, gari, and on rare days, meat. She paid for Jeremy's school books and uniforms. At night, she rubbed her aching knees and watched her son sleep on a thin mat. "Jeremy," she would whisper, brushing his hair, "you will not suffer like me. You will go far." Those words gave her strength through years of pain. Now they returned like knives to her heart. By the time she reached her compound, her body felt hollow. Her small house of mud walls and old zinc sheets stood silently. She pushed the door open and lowered the firewood onto the ground. The dull sound echoed, heavy like her heart. She sat on the mattress and stared at the wall. Then she broke. Her shoulders shook as she cried, rocking herself gently. She did not cry loudly. She cried the way tired women cry, silently, deeply, without strength. "God," she whispered, her voice cracked. "What did I do wrong?" She remembered every sacrifice, every hunger, every time she chose her son over herself. She remembered refusing to remarry so no man would mistreat her child. All she wanted was for Jeremy to rise. And today, he could not even call her mother. Madame Hannah wiped her face and looked up. "If I ever failed him," she said softly, "punish me. But if I gave him my life, then God see me." Outside, the sun still shone. Inside, a mother's heart quietly shattered. The SUV did not slow down even after the village disappeared behind them. The road opened into a wide highway, but inside the car, the air felt heavy. Naomi sat quietly, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes fixed ahead. Something had shifted inside her, something she could no longer ignore. Jeremy drove like a man running from a fire. His knuckles were tight around the steering wheel, his jaw locked. The calm, charming billionaire Naomi knew in the city was gone. In his place sat a stranger with cold eyes and restless anger. "Jeremy," Naomi said carefully, breaking the silence, "that woman called you her son." Jeremy laughed, but the sound was hollow. "She's crazy," he replied. "Village women do that. It's a trick." "She said your name," Naomi pressed. "And we came to the village to see your mother." Jeremy's face hardened. "My mother is dead," he said quickly, too quickly. The words hung in the air, heavy and unconvincing. Naomi remembered the old woman's trembling hands, her cracking voice. That was not the voice of a liar. That was the voice of someone who had waited too long to be seen. Jeremy pressed harder on the accelerator. He had waited years for this moment, to return as a king, not as a wounded boy. He wanted Naomi to see success, not suffering. Glory, not shame. Because shame lived in that village. It lived in barefoot memories and empty pots. In nights he cried from hunger, and mornings he walked to school in torn slippers. In a mother who smelled of smoke and sweat instead of perfume. Jeremy believed he had escaped all of it. His mind drifted back despite his resistance. He remembered the scholarship letter that saved him. He remembered leaving without looking back, promising never to return the same. Lagos had taught him a dangerous lesson, that money could erase history. He worked hard. He rose fast. Offices replaced farms. Suits replaced rags. Slowly, the village became a story he told only when necessary. Then he stopped telling it at all. At first, he sent money home. Then less, then nothing. He changed his number and told his assistants to block all calls from the village. It wasn't hatred, it was fear. Fear that someone would remind him who he truly was. Naomi watched him quietly. "This isn't like you," she said. "In the city, you help everyone." "You don't understand," Jeremy snapped. "Village people can tie your destiny." Naomi shook her head. "No, Jeremy. Poverty doesn't make people evil. Pride does." Her words struck him hard. Silence returned. Then Jeremy's phone buzzed. An unknown number flashed. He rejected the call. It buzzed again. A message appeared. "Jeremy, please. It's Mama." Naomi's breath caught. "Jeremy, that woman was your mother." Jeremy clenched the phone in his fist, his eyes burning. "If you mention this again," he said coldly, "you will spoil everything." A chill ran through Naomi. In that moment, she understood the truth. Jeremy wasn't running from a village. He was running from himself. Jeremy's mansion in Lekki stood tall and flawless, its white walls glowing under soft evening lights. The gates opened quietly, like a place designed to keep noise and pain outside. As the SUV rolled into the compound, Naomi felt a strange tightness in her chest. Everything looked perfect, too perfect. Inside the house, servants moved swiftly. Bags were taken, cold water was offered. The marble floor reflected the chandelier above, shining without a single crack. Jeremy loosened his tie and sat down as if he had returned from a normal trip. Naomi remained standing. The image of the old woman on the dusty road refused to leave her mind. Firewood, tears, a trembling hand, the window rolling up. "Jeremy," Naomi said quietly, "we need to talk." "I'm tired," he replied without looking at her. "Tired?" Naomi's voice shook. "That woman." Jeremy's head snapped up. His eyes carried a sharp warning. "Stop." Naomi swallowed but did not step back. "She called you her son, and the message on your phone said, Mama." Jeremy stood slowly. His expensive watch caught the light as he moved closer, his presence suddenly heavy. "I'm telling you once," he said calmly, dangerously. "That woman is not my mother." Naomi stared at him. "But Jeremy, I saw." "If you bring this up again," he cut in, "you will spoil everything." Tears filled Naomi's eyes, not from fear but confusion. How can helping your own mother spoil anything? Jeremy exhaled sharply. "My mother died a long time ago," he said smoothly. "The woman you saw is trying to trap me." Naomi felt her chest tighten. She knew he was lying. Yet he spoke with such confidence that it almost made her doubt herself. "You expect me to believe an old woman carrying firewood is dangerous?" she asked softly. Jeremy's face hardened. "You don't understand village people. They use desperation to control others. Naomi shook her head. No, she looked tired. She looked hungry. She looked like someone who had suffered for years. Jeremy pointed toward the stairs. This discussion is over. Go and rest. Something in his eyes warned her not to argue. Naomi turned and walked upstairs, each step heavier than the last. In the bedroom, surrounded by luxury, she sat on the edge of the bed and pressed her hands together. The house was beautiful, but it was cold. Downstairs, Jeremy poured himself a drink and stared at his reflection in the glass. For a moment, the billionaire vanished. In his place stood a barefoot boy with torn slippers and shame in his eyes. He clenched his jaw and turned away. Miles away, in the quiet village, Madame Hannah lay awake on her thin mattress. The roof rattled softly. Her body ached, but her heart hurt more. She whispered into the darkness, God, see me. 2 places, 2 hearts, 1 truth buried in silence, and silence was already growing into something dangerous. Night wrapped the village in deep darkness, broken only by insects and distant dogs barking. Madame Hannah lay awake on her thin mattress, staring at the zinc sheet ceiling above her. Sleep refused to come. Each time she closed her eyes, the same image returned, Jeremy's face behind the tinted glass, cold and distant as the window slowly rose between them. Her chest tightened, as if a heavy stone pressed against her heart. Slowly, she sat up. The small room smelled of smoke and dry wood. In the corner lay the firewood she had carried earlier, stacked neatly like silent witnesses to her life of labor. She looked at them, and pain surged through her. Those woods had fed her son. They had paid for his books. They had built his future. And yet, they were the very thing that made him ashamed of her. Tears slid down her wrinkled face. She wiped them with the edge of her wrapper and clasped her hands together. God, she whispered, her voice shaking. I am tired. Her mind drifted to the day Jeremy's father was buried, the red earth, the heavy silence, the fear that followed her home. She remembered choosing not to remarry, afraid another man would harm her child. She remembered nights of hunger, giving Jeremy her portion of food, and mornings when she walked, miles with firewood balanced on her head, while her knees trembled. I gave him my life, she said softly. I had nothing else to give. Her voice rose, not in anger but in deep, burning pain. If I ever cursed my child, forgive me, she whispered. But today my heart is broken. She paused, struggling for breath, then continued through tears. If wealth has made him forget me, she cried, then let that same wealth remind him of where he came from. Let pride fall from his hands the way hope fell from my heart today. The words were heavy, not spoken with hatred, but with truth sharpened by suffering. Madame Hannah fell back onto the mattress, drained. Her sobs faded into weak breaths. Outside, the moon watched silently as a mother's pain rose toward the sky. Far away in the city, Jeremy could not sleep. He lay on his wide bed, staring at the ceiling, the same words echoing in his mind. My son. He turned to his side and shut his eyes. But memories rushed in, his mother's hands rubbing his head, her voice promising him a better life, the smell of smoke clinging to her clothes. His phone buzzed. He picked it up and froze. A message glowed on the screen. Jeremy, please. It's Mama. I just want to hear your voice. His throat tightened. For a moment, his finger hovered over the call button. Then pride spoke louder than love. He turned the phone face down. In 2 different places, under 2 very different roofs, a mother cried, and a son chose silence. Neither of them knew that the choice made that night would soon change everything. Morning came quietly to Lekki, sunlight slipping through the tall glass windows of Jeremy's mansion. The city woke up polished and confident, just like the man who lived inside. Jeremy dressed in his expensive suit, his face calm and controlled, as if the village had never existed. But some things cannot be buried. At his office, meetings followed one another. Assistants smiled. Numbers were discussed. Deals were signed. Yet behind every word, Jeremy felt an unfamiliar pressure, as if invisible walls were slowly closing in. Then it began. A contract delayed without reason. A partner stopped returning calls. A sudden investigation into one of his companies. By afternoon, Jeremy's phone would not stop ringing. What's going on? He snapped at his assistant. We don't know, sir, the assistant replied nervously. Everything was stable yesterday. Jeremy's chest tightened. Across the city, Naomi sat alone in the mansion, restless. The silence of the house pressed on her. Again and again, she saw the old woman on the dusty road, carrying firewood with dignity and pain. She made a decision. Naomi picked up her phone and dialed the number she had memorized from Jeremy's screen. The call connected. Hello? A weak voice answered. Naomi's breath caught. "Ma'am, my name is Naomi. I was with Jeremy in the village." There was a long pause. "My son," Madame Hannah whispered. Tears filled Naomi's eyes. "I'm so sorry," she said softly. "Please forgive me." That evening, as the sun began to set, Jeremy's world cracked open. His biggest investor pulled out. A scandal began spreading online. Headlines questioned his integrity. Jeremy stood in his office, staring at the city below, his hands shaking for the first time in years. His phone rang. This time he answered. "Jeremy," Naomi said quietly, "your mother is sick." The word mother struck him harder than any loss. His knees weakened. "Where is she?" he whispered. Back in the village, Madame Hannah lay on her thin mattress, her breathing shallow. Naomi knelt beside her, holding her hand. "She came," Madame Hannah whispered faintly. "At least, someone came." That night, Jeremy arrived at the village alone. No convoy, no pride, no tinted glass. He knelt beside the woman who had carried him through life. "I'm sorry, Mama," he cried. "I forgot who I was." Madame Hannah opened her eyes slowly and touched his face. "Wealth can blind," she whispered, "but truth always finds its way home." Tears fell freely as Jeremy held her, a broken man finally understanding. Some lessons come late, but when they come with fire. The end.